David Rothkopf, and he's got some kind of weird Japanese baseball jersey on. What is going on? Who are you
I'm
wearing?
surprised. I'm surprised at your ignorance of Japanese baseball. This is a jersey of a team called the Ham Fighters, or the Nippon Ham Fighters from Hokkaido. And it used to be the team of a young player named Shohei Otani. So it's an Otani jersey.
Oh, it's a Japanese Otani jersey. I can't believe I didn't know that. I'm surprised. I too am surprised at my ignorance of Japanese baseball. You would think like so
Yeah,
many other.
what's the matter? I was just downtown and I went to a lunch at dressed like this at the Four
No,
Seasons Hotel. I
no,
walked straight into the lobby. Everybody was Japanese and they were all giving me thumbs up. Like,
no.
hey, Hokkaido, go team. No, it's
I'm
true.
not. I'm not sure if I believe any of that. Why would you wear that to such a fine place? And why were there so many Japanese people? Is that why you wore it? Are they in town?
No, I wore it because it's hot and this is cool.
Oh, all right. I mean, it's cool in terms of like stylish cool or like it's ventilates cool because it doesn't seem cool stylish wise. You look like a little boy. You look like a
Okay.
little. Did you catch
Okay,
a
Pete.
ball?
Okay, Pete. Hey, look, you do you. You're wearing your little. I had a shirt like that in the first grade.
Oh, do you
That you're.
do you, do you have yellow pants on?
Uh,
Be so be so great if you were walking around like with a glove too. Just he's just a 7-year-old boy. He's a big baseball fan. He's a big Japanese. He's getting it. He's got a glove handy. Oh, it's a softball. It's not even a real. It's a
no,
girl's
I have a
sport.
hard ball. I have a hard ball on the other shelf. Not as easy to reach. Is that
Fair
why I'm
enough.
here? You just want to
Yes.
pick on my clothing?
I mean, listen. Even if you were doing like a hit with like your friend Lawrence O'Donnell, I wouldn't respect him if he didn't say anything. Although you would never show up so casually to your
No, it's
MSNBC.
true.
I see who you
I'm
are.
supposed to do it MSNBC in a couple hours, and I was just thinking I'm going to have to change my shirt.
Well, I like you this way. I like the real. We get the real
It's the
Rothkopf,
truth.
and there's
That is the truth. That
a
is the
lot to
truth.
talk. Now, you've just posted something at the Daily Beast. Of course, you're regularly posting at your Substack, a bunch of good stuff. And I got to say, the podcast over at the Deep State Network, DSR, is on fire over all these foreign relations issues, specifically the Middle East. You've had some of the best guests and really have been nailing it and kind of predicted what was going to happen. Now we have this new assessment out this afternoon, just before we connected from the Pentagon itself, their intelligence arm, basically saying that the bombing didn't destroy the centrifuges or much of the enriched uranium. Like, what are we supposed to believe occurred? How will we ever know?
Well, first of all, believe that, right? Because we talked to nuclear experts. We've been tracking this for a long time. I appreciate
Yep.
your compliment, but we've been doing foreign policy and national security podcasts for 12 years. And a lot of these people have come back, and a lot of them are the top experts. And we've done podcasts, over the past few weeks, but also in the past few days with top nuclear experts. And they all said the following: the best you can hope for with a bombing attack, even using the deep penetrating munitions, is to set the program back a few months. First of all, a lot of the program, the most sensitive parts, were buried even more deeply than those weapons could reach. Secondly, there are sites we don't know about. Thirdly, they knew this was possible. And most importantly, they moved as a consequently, apparently, the 400 kilograms of enriched uranium they have to another location. They moved people out of the locations that we targeted. And they also have other resources that can enable them to replace the program. So, for example, and this is a little bit inside baseball, you forgive the expression, but the Iranian nuclear program uses centrifuges that are the same as the centrifuges North Korea uses. So, they could get those centrifuges replaced from there. So what did we do? We went in, we struck a big blow. Trump lied, obliterated their nuclear resources. Trump prematurely said mission accomplished, something American presidents do a lot. And Iran is going to have the program back on its feet fairly quickly, except for one big difference. And the big difference is they now have more of a reason to accelerate the development of a nuclear weapon, because they know that if they had a nuclear weapon, the US and Israel would not have attacked. They know that a nuclear weapon would have protected them in a way that they were not protected this time around. And they know that because North Korea hasn't been attacked since it's developed its 90 nuclear weapons. Libya gave up its nuclear weapons and was attacked. Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons and was attacked. So, it's very clear what the message is here. Although clearly the shit's going to hit the fan with the intelligence community, because Trump is going to be real unhappy with being embarrassed by this. And I will make a prediction here for you, Pete, a final prediction here. He will say it's not true. He's going to lie about it, just like he lied about the election.
I'm old enough to remember the lie that we were told about the intelligence to invade and eventually occupy Iraq, that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. But, there was a huge performance, and there was weeks and months of debate and discussion, and we were following it so closely, and Colin Powell holding up his vial of sugar or whatever it was. And now you've got Marco Rubio on Meet the Press saying, who cares about the intelligence? Trump will say the same thing. Like, the idea that intelligence matters, I don't think it's a convincing argument for the public. I think the public just does not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon, and this narrative fits perfectly that a few missiles into apparently an empty mountain was the right thing to do to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon, regardless of who cares what the intelligence says.
Let's not underestimate the public this way. Are there people in the public who are going to buy the bullshit from the president? Yeah, there are. Otherwise, he wouldn't be president of the United States. Do more thoughtful people, even the majority of the American people, realize that intelligence matters? They lived through the Iraq experience as well. And the answer is they do. The problem is Trump doesn't want to take advice from anybody. He rejects the intelligence. He rejected it just a few days ago before he did the attack. And he's got his sycophant flunkies like Rubio or Hegseth or J.D. Vance out there saying things like Hegseth said the other day, which was, the president saw the intelligence, but then he relied on his own judgment. There is a higher power here, and that is the superhuman intellect of Donald Trump. Of course, Donald Trump never had a superhuman intellect. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I believe that as we watch him in these circumstances, we're seeing him decline fairly rapidly. I mean, he is slurring his words. He goes on these strange rants and tangents. His behavior in this thing has been incredibly erratic. The behavior included, I'm against this. I'm for this. I'm against this. I'm for this. We're going to blow them up. We're the best in the world. No, I'm a peacemaker. Now I have a big flagpole that's 88 feet tall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's nuts. It's nuts. And if it were your grandpa, you'd say, Grandpa, give me the keys. You're not going to drive the car anymore. You're going to hurt somebody. But nobody around Trump dares to do that. And so we're all in the car with this crazy grandpa who shouldn't be driving. And, somebody's going to get hurt. It's going to be us.
you do not think you make the argument that he should not be given the Nobel Peace Prize or any peace prize because his record in the first few months, 200 days of his presidency has been the opposite of peace vis-a-vis Russia, Ukraine, as well as obviously Israel and Gaza, and now this. And not to mention, as you say, he's even turned the military on his own people, which I think was a pretty important point. This is not a man of peace, is what I think you're trying to say at the Daily Beast.
But it's just ludicrous. He's desperate. I mean, he's been literally running a campaign, making speeches, writing things on True Social. I solved a war between Rwanda and Congo. I solved a war in the Balkans. I solved a war between India and Pakistan. The Indians say, no, you didn't. By the way, but we know he didn't do that. We know he didn't solve the war in Ukraine as he said he would. We know he didn't solve the problem in Gaza as he said he would. And we know he's providing weapons that Bibi Netanyahu is using to commit genocide and war crimes. We know he's advocating for Putin and cutting back on U.S. support for Ukraine so Putin can continue his war. We've seen him unleash troops in the United States. He threatened to invade Canada. He threatened to invade Greenland. He threatened to invade Panama. He's a thug. He's not a peacemaker. It's ludicrous. And I think the fact that he thinks he deserves it is another sign of the fact that he's cracked. The problem is Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
And as we've seen with the Iranian agreement he tore up, anything that shows him a black man succeeding at a level better than him, he can't handle it. And if Barack Obama were diagnosed tomorrow with, chlamydia, Trump would say, well, I could do better. I want syphilis. I mean, he is desperately, sadly competitive with Barack Obama, and it's affecting world affairs. His insecurity is affecting how the world is being conducted, how world affairs are being conducted right now.
Yeah, we're dragged around by a psychopathy every day. You had this piece, and I can't find it, that you just wrote. Maybe it was a week or two ago. I think this is at your Substack, and if people aren't subscribed to it, you're really missing out. It's so good. You should get a paid subscription and be listening to Deep State Radio every day as well. But you basically you had written about how dangerous he is, and several times in terms of his rhetoric and so on. Today, he attacked Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar. He called them dumb. He called them all kinds of names. And, on the heels of the assassination of 2 Democrats in Minnesota and the attempted of 2 others, it just seems to occur to me that in any conversation we should bring up, and we should be posting on social media, reminding people how obscenely abnormal, awful that is, and most importantly, how dangerous it is for the president of the United States to be publicly criticizing and name calling in this kind of way those women. It also plays into his insecurities as well. What do you make of just the fact that he's doing that again, and it's not okay? And I think we need to make sure that we remind people that this is a very bad thing. He's putting those women and everybody else he calls out publicly in great danger.
Look, he's a racist, misogynist creep. We've known he's a racist, misogynist creep since 10 years ago when he came down that escalator. We've known it, if you lived in New York, for decades and decades and decades. He always calls women of color stupid or not very smart. He always calls them things like nasty. He believes that it's smart politics with his base to go after people like this. All of them, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar, they're all better public servants than him. They're all more patriotic than him. They are all much smarter than him. And he knows they're going to defeat him. Because what is going to happen in the next election is not, the Dems become more like Trump and compromise. What's going to happen in the next election is the Democrats are going to go to their base and they're going to say, we are the party of change now. And they're going to change their leadership, and they're going to change their message, and they are going to energize people who are young, and they are going to be the future. And Trump is going to be the past. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to turn the page on Donald Trump. And that's going to be a very good thing for America. It's going to be a very tough thing for Trump to swallow. You know, when she responded, I don't know, did you see her response to his attack? Because her response to his attack showed just how well she understands how to respond to him. You know, she at one point she calls herself just a girl, but then at the end of it she goes, but I'm a Bronx girl, and we know that we can kick the shit out of a Queens boy any day of the week.
We eat Queens boys, she says, for breakfast or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. It was great. She knows how to do this better than anybody else. Democrats
is in Queens, by the way, so it's even more balls.
well, no, that's true. But I think the this is a woman who is a true leader, who speaks truth, speaks from the heart, is highly effective as a legislator, and is going to lead, the next generation in American politics. And I am here for it. Same with Jasmine Crockett, by the way. Same with Jasmine Crockett.
Well, she's a little too black for some people. The way that she talks is too black. I've heard it so many times. And it's really bizarre to me because I'm always like, I love how black she is. I love how authentically black she is when she speaks. She never, ever, you've seen black legislators throughout American history for sure, kind of pull their punches and code switch and so on. But Jasmine Crockett is the real deal. And I think that irks the shit out of a lot of people. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing.
If I had to, take all my chips in politics going forward, I'd push them to anybody I thought was authentic, because I think, given the way the media works right now, that's what people want. And they're so tired of politicians who lie like Trump, or who constantly try to figure out what the right thing to say is, who are trying, like many Democratic politicians, to get the answer right with the audience. They want people who they think have convictions and new ideas and the ability to get them done. And I think Jasmine Crockett can do great in that. And I think she's already doing great. She's got them running scared all the time. You watch committee hearings where she speaks up, and she is smacking people around. She is a high quality member of Congress.
What do you make, though? You're talking about the future of the Democratic Party and hopes that it's led by women like these. But what do you make of the kind of establishment Democrats and their endorsement of Andrew Cuomo in the New York City mayoral race that we'll know the results to, by the end of the day? But I mean, Brian Beutler is one of my favorite political analysts, writes, 10 years in, it's past time for establishment Democrats to stop responding to Trump by elevating crusty, insular old hands, particularly ones like Cuomo, whose situational ethics bear small-scale resemblance to Trump's. Like, is there a divide here?
Yeah, of course there's a divide. The notion that Andrew Cuomo, who, is a sex pest or a sex abuser, or certainly a man of extremely questionable judgment and damaged ethics, an arrogant guy, legitimate accusations of corruption and mismanagement during COVID. This is the only one that they could come up with? Bullshit. The establishment says, who do we know? Who's got name recognition? And what I say is, the establishment's got to go. I don't know whether Zoran Mamdani is going to beat Andrew Cuomo today, but I'll tell you one thing. It ought to scare the shit out of the establishment that this young guy has stepped up and in the last poll was doing better than Cuomo. You know why? Because he's smart, because he cares, because he's authentic. And he's got all these strikes against him, in terms of the conventional wisdom of New York, except he doesn't sell the voters of New York short and assume that they don't have the ability to look more closely and realize he's not, as he's being accused by some people, of being anti-Semitic. He is anti-Bibi Netanyahu. He is anti-war crimes in Gaza, just like all the rest of us. He is not a crazy socialist who wants to have a communist takeover of the United States. He is like the leaders of every country in Europe that believes that the social contract is vitally important to the high functioning of a society, and that older people should be taken care of, and young people should go to school and have enough to eat, and people who commute to work should have safe, affordable mass transit, and that people should have access to affordable housing. That's not socialism. That's decency. And what we've got to stop doing is listening to these incessant democratic, defeatist Pauls who say, no, we have to run away from all of that. We have to be more like Trump. Let's meet the fascist halfway. Let's have tough immigration policies. Let's deport a bunch of our own people. Let's also be assholes like the assholes. And I just think that's not where we ought to be. And I am hoping Zoran Mamdani wins. If he doesn't win, I'm hoping it's a wake-up call for everybody else to see that this generational change is coming, and it's time for that. I worked for Bill Clinton. I was disgusted that Bill Clinton, who's got his own spotted sexual history, thought it was appropriate to endorse Andrew Cuomo. I worked with Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, who thought it was appropriate to attack Zoran Mamdani and say, well, we can't have a socialist. What is he talking about? We all behind the world. And if you look at every other high-performing economy on the planet Earth, every single one of them, they have healthcare for everybody. They have guaranteed retirements for everybody. They care about the environment. They have strong laws against people having guns. They have fairer tax codes. That's not socialism. That's how you create a high-functioning society.
Yeah, health insurance and universal pre-K, which would be hugely important. And they call it whatever they want to call it, but all those countries have better social mobility and better measurements.
But people called Franklin Roosevelt a socialist. They called Harry Truman a socialist. The Republican Party has been using that as a cudgel for literally 100 years. And it's time that the Democrats take it away. Say, no, you don't.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Whenever you explain the policies, people almost overwhelmingly like them. When you call them socialists, they're terrified of them. But of course, Medicare is American as apple pie. But for everybody under 65, it's socialist. Let me get quickly back to Iran. I just see this new polling is out, and I don't know if polling even matters, but 56% of people polled disapproved of Trump's bombing of Iran. 65% think Congress should authorize. Reuters has only 36% of Americans approving the bombing. I don't know if this kind of polling matters. I don't think too much about it, obviously. But does this issue cut through? Will it matter? We're talking about all these people in the kind of MAGA movement, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and others that have been highly critical of him, Dave Smith and these idiots saying, I was wrong about Trump after he joined Israel in its attack in Iran. How big of a deal do you think it is in terms of affecting people's hearts and minds on their
look, I saw a poll yesterday that said 85% of people opposed it and only 5 supported it. So maybe 5 support it, maybe 30 support it. We don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the vast majority of the American people are against it. It's an unpopular war. And that's why Trump was so pissed off that his fake ceasefire wasn't holding. That's why Trump said that the Israelis and the Iranians don't know what the fuck they're doing, literally in those words, because he wants to say to his base, look, this wasn't a war. I went in, I got rid of the nukes, I did it cleanly, it was over. He's trying to brand this the 12-day war. Like, this happened real quick. This is not an endless war. And you can still love me. And that's the point. I do not think Donald Trump has the support necessary to go into any kind of protracted conflict. And I think that's super important because when the Iranians look at it, or the Israelis look at it, or the Russians look at it, or the Chinese look at it, they're going to say, this is a crazy old guy, but he's in handcuffs and he can do certain things, but he can't do them over and over again. And that's where we are here. If this ceasefire comes undone, if there's more and more evidence that the Iranian nuclear program is there, Trump can't send in troops. Trump can't get into a long war here because the American people are hugely against it.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, there's still so much happening on the home front, obviously, with these mass deportations that we're seeing every day, with this bill that is now in the hands of the Senate and everything that it would do. It seems that this has been quite a distraction over the past week or so, what's gone on in the Middle East and around that. But we've still got so much more to worry about and to be concerned with every single day. Any thoughts on any of the rest of the things that are happening?
Yeah, I don't think anything we've talked about was the biggest story of the week. I think the biggest story of the week was yesterday. Off the official docket, the Supreme Court said, without any explanation, that the Trump administration could continue, while a case is being adjudicated, picking people up without due process and sending them to hellholes around the world. This is an outrageous violation of the principles of U.S. law. It rewarded Trump, as Justice Sotomayor noted in her dissent, it rewarded Trump for ignoring of two of the courts in all of this, essentially saying, go ahead, be lawless, we've got your back. And this is going to go through the courts for a long time. And Trump knows how to play this and will stretch this trial and stretch this case out. And the court will hear, if it ever gets to the Supreme Court, we'll make a decision for a bunch of months. And what it means is for a year or multiple years, Donald Trump is going to have the ability to have the Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem thugs, the Gestapo, go out, pick people up, and without due process. So it could be the wrong people, could be the wrong people for the wrong reasons, send them off to Sudan, or send them to Rwanda, or send them to El Salvador, or send them to hellholes elsewhere. And once they're there, of course, they'll say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And the fact that the court would do this without explanation should be chilling to everybody, because essentially they sent one clear message: President Trump, do what you want. The law doesn't matter. We're a political protection committee. We're not a court. We're going to look after you.
Don't you think these violent snatch and grabs and kidnappings on the streets, they're turning public opinion, and you see people like Joe Rogan and other influential people and normal everyday people just see this and seeing their neighbors and the people that work at their favorite restaurant, or the farmers. I mean, this is really hitting home for a lot of people in their local communities. Don't you think that's going to turn the tide of the way people feel about these mass deportations? They thought there was
You're absolutely right. And it will turn the tide. And look, how did Trump get elected? Trump got elected because a sufficient number of American people said, I hate the system here. I want change. And Trump seemed like a kick in the pants to our system. He seemed like he would be a change. Now, once their Medicaid is taken away, once their VA services are taken away, once their national parks have been opened up to drilling and building roads, once school programs are closed, once the universities they're in are damaged, once the economy goes to hell because of a tariff and higher oil prices from wars in the Middle East, they're going to go, well, I'm sick of these guys. I need a change. And it goes back to your earlier point. If the Democrats go, well, we're the same old here we go. We can give you more Joe Biden. It's not going to work. What the Democrats have got to do is say, we are a change from all of that.
Yeah.
We are not the old Democrats. We are not Donald Trump. We are what you've been looking for all along. And if you want the Medicaid, you want the Medicare, you want your schools to work, you want the air to be clean, you want the streets to be safe, you want a good commute to work, you want fairer taxes, you don't want people running around with assault rifles shooting up schools, vote for us, because we'll actually get that done instead of the corruption of Trump, or what they saw incorrectly, perhaps, as the fecklessness of the last two Democratic presidents.
All right. Great talk as always. I will let you go. It's been hard to take you serious with that jersey on, but the one question that, is eating away at me is like, why not root for an American team or an American player? Well, do you hate America that much?
Okay. First of all, Shohei Ohtani plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers now. I love the fact that there's so many international players in baseball now. Baseball is much better now that they've got the pitch clock. It goes faster. It's a much more interesting sport. And Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-century player, pitching, hitting. He's. I mean, it's just one of the. Every once in a while, somebody comes along and you go, "Oh my God, I got to watch this because this is never going to happen again." And I think he's amazing, and he is being amazing at a game called America's National Sport. So why do you hate America's national sport? Why do you hate baseball? Why do you hate little kids who play Little League? Why do you hate America, Pete?
I do hate you. I do hate little kids who play Little League, but I don't hate the other things. I was at a Tigers game this year. I'm going to go to a Yankees game and a Mets game. I mean, I love baseball. I just root for American teams. You have a Japanese team jersey is all.
It says Ohtani on the back of the jersey, by the way. It's a tribute to Ohtani. And you want to know something else, Pete? Something else you hate?
That jersey came with a snow cone.
It comes with little PJs with feet. No,
on it.
No, what you hate is that
put the hat on. Put the hat on.
People who have come to America from foreign countries make this place great. And you hate immigrants. You hate foreigners.
Well, I don't like immigrants who take the jobs of Americans. I like immigrants who take the jobs that Americans won't do. And there's enough white American, not very many black baseball players anymore, but there's a lot of white American players who these foreign players they're taking their jobs.
Look, it's very clear to me why you live in Trump state, New York, surrounded by Trumpies, why, you go out into the woods and you put on your hunting gear and you're constantly making references to Joe Rogan, and you're a closet Trumpy. I know it. And I keep coming on this show in the hopes that I can persuade you back.
I think you've persuaded us. I think a lot of listeners love when you come on. So you're doing your job just fine. You'll never get me to join you and your Japanese fandom and your liberal pinko, whatever. I don't know. World you socialist you want to live in.
You know what else? You know what else I like? Soccer.
You like you're a foreignophile. You like a lot of non-American tradition things too.
Did you see Trump's tweet last night when he was so euphoric that he had made a ceasefire, was going to get the Nobel Prize, and it was like, God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless the Middle East, God bless the United States, and then it ended all in caps, God bless the world. Well, that's what I say.
That was
God bless the world.
You know what I usually say is, I love you, God.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest. He just didn't,
literally The teleprompter's in front of him. He's lost track of it. He has some rough idea of what he's supposed to say, and his brain just can't keep up with it anymore.
He's really losing it. You've written a lot about it.
By the way, have you seen on TikTok or Instagram the smart glasses that have a teleprompter in them?
Oh no.
Oh no, go. I mean, there's smart glasses now that'll translate 144 languages into your ear. There's smart glasses that'll tell you which way to go, film things, do all this kind of thing. But this teleprompter thing, it's like showing people doing their TED talk, and the text is running on their inside of their glasses. And I was thinking, you could do that here. You could up your game a lot.
Oh yeah, I definitely I'm getting those for sure. I thought you were suggesting that Trump wear them. He would never wear glasses because it would be a sign of weakness. He's strong.
Yeah. No, he is the strongest man who ever lived.
Don't you think that Netanyahu was like boxed him in? It's like, you got to do it. That was where the intelligence came from.
Of course he did.
Weird.
I mean, Netanyahu knew that if he attacked Iran, that Trump would have to do something to attack it, because otherwise he would look weak.
Right.
And so he boxed him into the corner.
But today he yelled at him. Today he criticized Netanyahu. He's criticized Putin recently as well.
Yeah. But he also, advocated for Putin at the G8. He also is making asbestos legal in the United States, and Russia's the world's leading producer of asbestos. Yet there's a story nobody's talking about, which is that there's this guy working in the White House who hasn't had a security check, who's apparently a Russian spy. I mean,
what's his name?
Is
Gore
or something like that? Yeah.
We're still producing asbestos.
Oh yeah, and we're going to be buying a lot of that great tasting Russian asbestos.
Oh, good.
Starting soon, thanks to Donald Trump.
Make asbestos meet again.
Yeah, no, exactly. Every morning for breakfast, asbestos flakes.
Yeah, that's weird. That guy is not got a clearance, and we don't even know where he's from. And then the guy who's in charge of counterterror is like a landscaper.
He's 22 years old. He's 22 years old.
It's crazy. You have a piece in the New Republic basically about where is it? We better pray that no unexpected crisis hits while Trump is president. I mean, it's inevitable, though. I mean, we're going to have.
Well, it is, and I think that my point is it's inevitable. But if you look at what he's done, he's gutted the NSC, he's gutted FEMA, he's gutted the Weather Bureau, he's gutted the people who predict hurricanes, he's gutted the Counterterrorism Center, he's gutted the parts of the government that protect us from cyber attacks. He's gutted the NSC process so that there aren't even meetings. There is no national security advisor right now. The head of the Defense Department is a drunk and a nincompoop. The head of the intelligence community has no experience in intelligence. Pardon me?
HHS. I mean, he's got RFK and Dr. Oz. I mean,
Good point. In terms of disease, in terms of preparedness for the next pandemic, he literally. I mean, we lived through the past 25 years, right? There was 9/11. There was the financial crash. He's got all the part of the Treasury Department that'll protect us against the next financial crash. There was the pandemic. He's gotten rid of the people who protect us against that. There was Hurricane Katrina. There were other hurricanes. There were fires. He's getting rid of FEMA. The alligator Alcatraz that he's planning to build in Florida, $140 million or whatever it is, they're planning to take most of the money from FEMA.
They're really building a facility?
Yeah.
Alligator Alcatraz in Florida? I don't know about that.
Yeah. That was a big story yesterday. They're planning to build essentially a concentration camp for immigrants that they round up, and they're going to put it in the middle of the Everglades. And the guy who announced it yesterday was like, but we don't have to worry about security because we'll be surrounded by alligators and pythons. It's like a horror movie.
He got rid of like the scientists who decide on the vaccine schedule, and he replaced at least one of the scientists they just nominated today. I don't know if you saw this, a vial of meningitis.
Yeah, meningitis. That vial has a great future in the CDC.
I think it's
because
making a lot of decisions.
I mean, it is absolutely clear that RFK Jr. is pro-virus.
I mean,
he is pro-disease. That's the only conclusion you can draw, right?
Weird.
He is like, just like Trump was put in by the Russians to destroy everything about the United States that makes it strong. And RFK Jr. was put in by the viruses to destroy all of our defenses against viruses.
Oh my God. It's good. It's all good. Everything's fine. Everything's great. All right. I know you got to go catch a foul ball. I appreciate you.
No, I have to change my clothes. I'm going to go off this podcast, and I got to tell you, I'm going to weep.
You're going to go.
Made such fun of me. No, I'm heartbroken. I'm humiliated.
Yeah.
Publicly humiliated me in front of your dozens of listeners, in front of all your listeners.
All my
listeners. Been humiliated. All my listeners. And I just want, if anybody out there, you're a listener, is that whoever's out there, you know, if you don't think that I should be humiliated for wearing this shirt, then send me a text or something.
It would be so great if all my listeners just popped on the screen wearing Hokkaido jerseys. They're like, we are in solidarity.
Everybody should get them. Everybody should get it. The Nippon Ham Fighters. Nippon Ham. It's sponsored by the Nippon Ham Company, and they're the fighters.
Is that a Japanese ham company?
Yeah, it's just what it is.
You know, I knew you'd sell out at some point. I just didn't know it would be to a Japanese sponsor.
That I'm carrying.
I can't wait till the next Deep State Radio sponsor.
Can you imagine how much Nippon Ham has to pay me?
Nippon Ham everywhere in the Rothkopf household.
Everywhere.
All right. Thank you very much. Always great. Really appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. David Rothkopf. Go subscribe. All right. I'm hitting end.
Thank you.